Hello, let's do Wordle for Wednesday, March 25th. Yesterday we spun the wheel. It said to start with geese. Now I think we're going to learn something very interesting. All right, so we learned that there is only one E, not two E's, and not three E's, just one. All right, and there's an S. At least when we started with geese, it was on a day where there's an E. And actually, that means we either start with E or there's an E fourth. Now, ER is definitely, if E is fourth, ER is definitely an option there. So we got to be careful. Maybe we avoid guessing the R for now. There's not much point unless there's an advantage in what letters we can get to starting with E, because the third guess we're going to be forced to put the E in the correct spot here or here regardless. And we know there's only one E. So, all right. Now, let's just go for the most common letters first, except for R. So like T, N, and L would be good targets. So something like stain, or I mean, is one of the Salé, maybe one of the Salé or slate anagrams would be good, but I need to start with E or put the E fourth. So does one of those work? Stale, no, obviously stale doesn't work. It would have to be like A here and E here. I don't know that there is a slate anagram with E fourth. Like lazet. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So is there one with E first? I don't think so. Okay. So maybe my idea of, I don't know, snail or not snail, we need an E. Shoot, what was my idea? Was my idea actually correct? Maybe not. Maybe I can put an A here and an E here, and then I have to use an S. ST something E. I can't repeat. Well, I don't want to repeat the E because we already know there's only one E. Maybe there is an E. I might give up. I might give up on these specific letters. Because I can't think of a vowel that would go before E like this. Maybe we could do like SQUE maybe. Actually, I don't think there is one. But I don't want to use the Q. All right, so let's use the P instead. Something like, again, we need to do like SA. Unless we can get away with only one vowel, but we could do SI, SA, SO. I don't really care what vowel we're doing, but this is surprisingly hard without using the R. Wait, I asked for a Salé anagram that puts E fourth. How about Salé? Let's do it. All right. Okay, so E is fourth, unsurprisingly. S is not first. And certainly there's no ES words that are still on the answer list. So S here, and I'm assuming at this point it's ER. We could try for the N. So what would this be with SER? A is gone. OER is the one to really worry about, although the other ones aren't much better. So something like poser might be a good guess. No, is noser a word? I don't know. Yeah, without the S first, it's gonna be here and then ER. So poser is an option. There might not be that many left actually. So let's look at all the vowels. So poser, ISER, wiser, riser, double R. Pfizer, Heiser, Kaiser. Visor is spelled OR. Miser, like someone who's miserly, someone who's cheap with money. I think that's how that's spelled. So miser, wiser, riser. So So R first, W and M are options, and we haven't done USER yet. I don't think there's a USER. Ruser, someone who does ruses. I think when we test for riser, that'll be it. So are there enough left that I'm in danger here? Because I could always do an ES filler, because that would allow me to do, say, an R first, or a W and an M. What was the other one? Poser. So P is. But the thing is, I think there's only one OSER left. So if I test the I, and it's not I know it's poser. So I think that's okay. So I'd like either R first or a W and an M. Sorry, an R first with a W or an M, or both W and M would be fine. And then we could end in ES. Would be fine. I'm not sure that I could use an O. Mose? I could try it. Not accepted. We can try Womes. We can try Romes. We can try... Rose. Okay. So the other option is I or U, I guess. Wimes. Well, how about rhymes? Okay, rhymes was accepted. Okay, so there isn't an R first, and there's not an M. So I think it's going to be ISER. So I think wiser was the one left. So let's do wiser. All right. Got it in 4. It is one of those dangerous traps, so it's worth putting extra thought into the trappy words and avoid them when you can. I can't believe I spent so long trying to think of a Saleh anagram that has E fourth. How about just Saleh? That worked out. Honestly, knowing there wasn't 2 E's was helpful. Knowing there wasn't 3 E's, not as helpful. But honestly, for starting with geese, we actually got some decent information. All right. Well, before we do any analysis to see how well I picked my guesses, let's spin the members wheel and see what tomorrow's starting word will be. Maybe it'll be a little better than geese. Green. Yeah, only 2 E's, not 3. And maybe we'll get some greens from green, suggested by JP Sinclair. All right. Well, let's, so if you're following along, we'll start with green tomorrow. Let's do some analysis. Let's see what how the bots approach starting with geese here. I'm going to check to see, I don't think I did, but I'm going to check to see if I got geese analysis from the creator, because they'll do a more in-depth analysis sometimes. This one would be a good one for that. Does not look like it. Okay, well, so we'll just go with what this says. So the answer was wiser, and we chose geese as our starting word. Guess what the best follow-up is? Wiser. Amazing. It's not worried about losing at all to ER, which is interesting. I wonder why that is. Because usually ER is like, oh crap. Okay, so I went Saleh. That's gotta be worth something. Okay, it doesn't consider Saleh because it's not on the answer list, and I have that kind of as only guess answer list words. Now from here there were 8 words left. Miser, mosey. I didn't even think about ending in Y. Nosy, poser. So poser was an option. Risen, riser. Risen might have been a good guess. Yeah, it was. Usher and wiser. So wiser is no longer the wisest guest. I did RIMES, which it's not going to consider because it's not on the answer list. And from there, it was only wiser. So I did analyze it properly, I think, at least for the dangerous ER words. I said riser, I said wiser, I said miser. And then I said poser. And those were the ones I accounted for. So yeah, and then the other ones probably would have just fallen out anyway. Cool. And its analysis is do wiser and win. I mean, can't argue with that. Just guess the answer. All right. Let's look at tails then. So it's just sewer from here. So it's going to test that double E with the ER at the ending, which is interesting. And from there, it's only wiser because it gets the W and the S. So that's lucky. I wonder if steel gets that lucky. No, it goes resin. And from there, it's only miser or wiser. So it gets a 3 or a 4. Is this like a one of those lucky trap words where you're probably not going to lose? I don't know. Adieu. The most common starting word. We get the I and the E. We're going to go fillet. We're avoiding that ER for now. We're going to go fillet. Get the I and the E. F, L, and T are gone. And then there's 26 words left. We're going to go ripen. So we're going to test R first without ending in R. So that gets rid of all the like riser words, right? And then we're going to get the P, which I'm not sure. Like there's viper, there's piker. There's a bunch of words with P, so it's getting rid of that. Or you can get rid of the V with riven, which is just as good, or risen, which is almost as good. In this case, risen would have been great, but anyway, ripen. Now we're down to 7 words: biker, giver, hiker, hire. So this ER is nasty. It's saying go hiker or miser. So if we go hiker, then we have to go miser. We have 4 words left: giver, miser, mixer, and wiser, and we have 2 guesses. So if you were to go giver or mixer or wiser, then you have a 75% chance. Actually, mixer and wiser has a 70% solve rate. Giver has a 50% solve rate. So you got to be really careful about which one you guess here. And so it goes miser because miser tells you the answer next, which you have to do, right? If it's giver, it's going to be gray M, gray S. If it's mixer, it's going to be green M, gray S. And if it's wiser, it's going to be gray M, green S. So they're unique colorings. That's what you got to go for. You got to think of all the options, and then you get it in 6. So adieu people might be having trouble today, depending on what guesses they make, because these are very optimal guesses. If you go right for ER, you're gonna run into problems, I think, because you just don't get enough consonants from your initial guess. Audio is going to have similar issues, but we're not locked into using E. But it's going to go pissed anyway. But that's lucky because we get the I and the S green there. And now it's going to go miser or risen or riser or wiser. So it could get it in 3. Otherwise, it could get it in as much as 5. So 3, 4, or 5 are all possible. Okay, stare is going to lock us into doing ERs. It's going to do ropes first, which at least avoids locking in the R at the end. So we can move it around, but at this point, we're just going to do an ER anyway. So miser or wiser. So if we get lucky, we get a 3. Otherwise, we get a 4. And then, any of the starting words that have S in it are doing much better than the ones that don't have S. Or W would be even better. But okay, we just did stare. So trace tries to get in 2. I highly doubt it does today. Yeah, so it worries about ER a lot. Rens actually gets the ER, well, we already had the ER letters, so it keeps them, but it doesn't place them at the end. And then shrew also avoids getting the R at the end. Once we have that W, we're fine with wiser. Okay. And finally, clasp. It does get the S, so that's good. It's going to go siren. So again, doesn't go right to the ER, but it does include the R that can be moved around. And then from here, we're going to do something like, we could get wiser in 3, or we could do like miser, riser, wiser to get it in 5. So somewhere between 3 and 5. All right, so I don't think the bot's losing today, but I think we're going to have a lot of people losing today. I think that there's going to be relatively low solve rate today. Let's grab the screenshot here. Okay, I'm going to save this. And then we'll start with the hard mode analysis. Give me an 86 skill. I thought it was going to give me a lower skill score because of the weird words, I guess, but it was fine with them, I guess, mostly. It doesn't really like geese. It's a bold choice. All right, 78 others so far. Steel being the most common follow-up, but that's not right. I mean, it accepts it. You know, it may. I don't know how similar these similar situations are, but if they actually start with geese, there can't be an E third because it was gray there. Strep is a good one. I like that. Stern, again, E middle, no good. Again, I don't know how this works. It might not be that everyone started with geese. It might just be everyone who had yellow E, yellow S, and no G. Loser, siren, stone. A lot of these ending in E that you can't actually do. Siren you can't actually do. Oh no, siren is fine. Siren's good actually. Saleh, slate is no good. Taser is fine, but it's an ER. I don't like that it walks into ERs. It has actually lost on ERs before. Rhymes was a solid guess and a lucky one. Only one solution left. I don't think it was that lucky. I think it was perfect. Um, Rhymes was perfect. Why wouldn't it be a 99? I guess it wasn't quite perfect because, let's see. So your groups with rhymes. Okay, so there was. Okay, it doesn't like that there's this nosy group with a bunch of ED words, but ED words are less than 0.1%. They're not actually going to be the answer, but it still considers them for answers. So if we actually ignore the ED words, the only group with two words in it is usher and poser. So, oh, I guess risen and riser as well. Okay, so there were four groups that get the answer next, and two groups that are 50-50. But at this point, 50-50 is fine. I'd still get a 5 at worst. So I think rhymes was a good guess. All right. Clasp, siren, wiser. All right. So it just gets lucky. Is siren what? Yeah, siren is what this bot did. It's just, it gets lucky by going for wiser as opposed to some other options. We got a 0.3 getting wiser in 1. 3% turn 2, 22%, 58.9, 85.4. That's pretty high for turn 5 considering trappiness. 96%. Okay. So not I mean, you can see the trap obviously, but I thought it was going to be much lower. We'll see what non-hard mode is. Sometimes with the trap words, hard mode people are much more paranoid. Whoops. And so they actually have a significant bump in percentage compared to usual. We'll see. Miser, riser, wiper, hiker, biker, fixer, piper, sixer, mixer, wider, sizer, fiber. Just so many IER words. All right, so everyone's discovering the vowel second, but they're not necessarily. I mean, I guess if you're going to lose in hard mode on IER, you probably got the I early. And that restricts you in options on what you can actually guess to get other consonants. All right, let's refresh and look at the non-hard mode. Normal mode. Did I not save it? What did I save this at? Oh, I saved it as geese. Let me rename it. Did I save it as guess? No, I saved it as geese. Hold on, where's geese? There it is. I'm going to rename that to wiser. All right. I know you can't see what I'm doing. 83 skill, 69 luck. So, it's not even telling me who else started with geese. Interesting. That's the first time it hasn't shown that. Oh well. We kind of got the follow-ups anyway. Slate, roses, wiser. Testing double S. Okay. Yeah, interesting. It gets very lucky there. 0.5 getting wiser in 1. 2.8, 19.3, 53.6, 81.9, 95.1. Okay, so it isn't that much of a bump in hard mode. People losing on the same things: miser, riser, wiper, hiker, biker, piper, etc. All right. Well, I guess there's something about wiser that isn't as trappy of an ER as some of the other ones, but still, I mean, 95.1% solve rate here means we had quite a few casualties. 1 in 20 chance of losing there. All right. Well, how'd you do? And that's it for Wordle. Hope you enjoyed it. There is a link at the end of the video if you would like to watch my New York Times games solve. I also have a pinned comment with all the games I played today. And if you enjoyed this, why don't leave a like, subscribe, and a kind comment below.